The sky over Neuraxis bled crimson through toxic clouds. Nature's own warning system that matched the emergency lights flickering throughout Ren Kovac's damaged medical exosuit. 18% oxygen remaining. 14 hours of power reserve. Critical damage to left shoulder servos. The diagnostic scrolled across his visor like a death sentence. Ren limped through the skeletal remains of what had once been Outpost Helix, the Coalition's primary medical facility on this disputed border world. 3 hours ago, the evacuation ships had departed without him. Not by accident, by calculation. Field medics were valuable, but not irreplaceable. When the Sylphid forces had launched their surprise counterattack, chaos had erupted. In that chaos, Ren had become a statistic, presumed dead when the Eastern medical wing collapsed. Evacuation complete. All surviving personnel accounted for, the automated message had chirped through his damaged comms. All surviving personnel, except him. A bitter laugh escaped his cracked lips as he checked his medikit. 2 analgesic ampules, 1 broad-spectrum antibiotic, and a single dose of nano-repair serum. Not enough to treat the shrapnel wound in his thigh, or the 3 cracked ribs that made each breath a study in controlled agony. The acid rain began again, droplets hissing as they struck metal, dissolving what little remained of the outpost. The air tasted of copper and despair, the acrid scent of melting plastic filling his nostrils despite his helmet's filtration system. His motion tracker beeped a faint signal from beneath a collapsed section of the surgical unit. Ren hesitated. The rational choice was to ignore it. Find shelter, conserve resources, accept the inevitable. In 40 hours, Coalition Command would initiate sterilization protocols, a clinical term for turning the entire sector into a radioactive wasteland, but the medic's oath tattooed across his heart pulled him forward, even in death's shadow, offer mercy. Pushing aside twisted beams and shattered diagnostic equipment, Ren uncovered the source of the signal. His breath caught in his throat. A Sylphid soldier lay trapped beneath a fallen support column. Female? Judging by the more delicate facial structure. Her iridescent skin, normally shimmering with bioluminescent patterns and shades of violet and blue, had dimmed to an ashen gray. The neural reactive combat suit she wore, cutting-edge Sylphid, technology that responded to thought commands, was dark and unresponsive. Ren's first instinct was to retreat. The Sylphids had killed millions during their expansion into Coalition. Space. Their neural weapons had turned entire populations into mindless drones. This soldier was the enemy, the reason his friends were dead, yet something in her eyes, large, with vertically slitted pupils, stopped him. She was completely paralyzed, but conscious. He recognized the symptoms of a neural disruptor blast, her mind trapped in a body that wouldn't respond. "You can hear me, can't you?" Ren whispered, kneeling beside her despite the protest from his injured leg. The slight dilation of her pupils was his answer. With a grimace, Ren activated his medical scanner. The results confirmed his suspicion. Her neural pathways were intact, but blocked by the disruptor's effects. Given time and the right treatment, she might recover. Time neither of them had. As he moved to stand, something extraordinary happened. A tiny light flickered on her combat suit's status panel, a single blue dot where before there had been only darkness. Ren frowned, moving closer to examine it. The light dimmed. He stepped back. The light returned, pulsing weakly. "Impossible," he murmured. Sylphid combat suits were powered by their wearer's own bioelectric field. With her nervous system paralyzed, there should be no power at all. Unless... Ren cautiously placed his hand near the suit's primary sensor node. The light grew marginally brighter. "My proximity is powering your suit," he realized aloud. "The emergency backup system is drawing from my bioelectric field." Behind him, the distant sound of metal scraping against metal froze him in place. Scavengers, probably the notorious Drift Clan that preyed on battlefields. They would kill him for his exosuit components and strip the valuable technology from the Sylphid soldier while she watched, unable to move. In that moment, Ren made a decision that defied all logic. Instead of running or hiding, he positioned himself between the approaching scavengers and the paralyzed alien soldier. Maren, he told her, deploying his medical exosuit's defensive shield. It wouldn't last long against weapons, but it was better than nothing. And I think we might be able to help each other stay alive, at least for a little while longer. The blue light on her suit pulsed once as if in acknowledgement. The first scavenger rounded the corner with a jury-rigged plasma cutter, its power cell glowing an ominous orange.
Ren
Didn't hesitate. He grabbed a broken medical tray and hurled it at the figure, following immediately with a surge from his exosuit's emergency propulsion. The boost sent him crashing into the surprised scavenger, both of them tumbling across debris-strewn floor. Not today, Ren grunted, driving his elbow into the attacker's respirator mask. It cracked with a satisfying sound, sending the scavenger into a panicked retreat as Neuraxis' toxic atmosphere began seeping into their breathing apparatus. 2 more figures appeared, more cautious now. Ren backed toward the sylphid soldier, scanning for anything usable as a weapon. His medical exosuit wasn't designed for combat. Its reinforced servos meant for lifting patients. Not fighting. When he stepped closer to the alien, something unexpected happened. Her combat suit emitted a soft pulse, and a holographic interface flickered to life. Text scrolled across it in sylphid script, rapidly translating to standard. Structural weakness in ceiling, 15 degrees north. Load-bearing support compromised. Ren looked up, immediately spotting the stress fractures in the support beam above the approaching scavengers. Clever, he whispered, aiming his exosuit's medical laser designed for precision surgery at the weakened point. The beam cut through the already damaged metal, sending a cascade of debris down upon the scavengers, who retreated with angry shouts. When he turned back to the sylphid, her eyes tracked his movement. The holographic interface displayed new text. "Thank you. I am Thelia. Combat Tactician, 3rd Division." "Combat Tactician," Ren said with a grim smile. "That explains the structural analysis. A medical officer, Ren Kovacs. Seems we're both abandoned. Neural implants still function. Eyes operational. Can assist." With tactical assessment, Ren considered this as he examined her suit. "Your neural pathways are recovering, but slowly. The disruptor's effects should fade, but it could take days." He checked his oxygen levels again. "We have maybe 16 hours before we need to find better shelter and supplies. I can see you. Can move. Symbiotic survival possible." The pragmatism in her message made Ren laugh despite their situation. Symbiotic survival. I like that. With considerable effort, Ren constructed a makeshift stretcher from medical debris and loaded Thelia onto it. Her combat suit weighed less than he expected. The advanced sylphid technology adapted to conserve mass while maintaining protection. As night fell, they sheltered in what had once been a pharmaceutical storage unit. The reinforced walls offered protection from both acid rain and scavengers. Ren used his remaining medical supplies to treat his own wounds, wincing as the nano-repair serum knitted his damaged tissue with microscopic efficiency. "Why were you alone?" he asked Thelia as he worked. "Sylphids usually move in tactical units. Reconnaissance mission. Unit ambushed. I remained to cover retreat, so they left you behind too." Ren nodded with bitter understanding. Expendable assets, both of us. Throughout the night, Thelia's eyes would occasionally close in what appeared to be rest cycles, but her interface remained active, alerting Ren to any movement outside their shelter. During one such quiet moment, new text appeared. "Your proximity accelerates suit repair function. Each heart rate increase provides power surge." Ren contemplated this information. "So your suit is literally feeding off my adrenaline response? The more danger we're in, the faster you recover?" "Correct. Neural blockers dissolving at 0.3% per hour. Estimated full motor recovery, 72 hours. He checked his oxygen gauge again. "We don't have 72 hours. Alternative. Intentional adrenaline spikes may accelerate process. You want me to deliberately put myself in danger to power your recovery?" Ren asked incredulously. Thelia's eyes met his, and for a moment, he saw something beyond tactical calculation. There's something almost like apology. Survival probability increases 64% with dual mobility. Risk assessment favors acceleration. Ren sighed, checking his exosuit's charge. We'll need to move at dawn anyway.
Ow.
There's an auxiliary command post 3 sectors north. It might have supplies. Maybe a working array. His first light filtered through the toxic clouds. Ren detected movement outside their shelter. Psst. Thelia's interface flashed. 4 hostiles. Armed. Setting perimeter charges. How do you know that? Ren whispered in response. Her suit projected a 3-dimensional tactical display, a miniature holographic map showing heat signatures moving into position around them. Your suit can do that with the little power it has. Prioritizing tactical. Functions all other systems dormant. Smart, Ren murmured, studying the display. All right, combat tactician, what's our play? Morning brought a crimson haze as they made their way through the devastated landscape. Ren pulled the makeshift stretcher with Thelia strapped securely to it, following the tactical overlay her suit projected. Each step sent pain shooting through his partially healed leg, but the nano-repair serum had done enough to keep him mobile. 200 meters ahead, Ren wheezed through his exosuit's increasingly inefficient filtration system. The command post should be just past that collapsed. Transmitter tower. Caution. Thermal signatures detected. 3 entities. Unknown classification. Ren paused, scanning the horizon. Could be more scavengers. Could be wildlife. Not much survived the bombing, but some of Neuraxis' native predators adapted to the toxins. Recommend alternate route. Eastern approach offers 73% cover as they navigated through the ruins. Following Thelia's tactical guidance, Ren found himself increasingly curious about his alien companion. Your people? He began hesitantly. They communicate telepathically, don't they? Is it difficult using text instead? Pause. Then, vocal speech primitive, but functional. Neural communion preferred. Deeper, true sharing, true sharing. Repeated, sounds more intimate than our clumsy words. Yes, words hide as much as reveal. Your species speaks to conceal thoughts. Ren laughed softly. Can't argue with that assessment. They reached the command post by midday, finding it partially intact, but abandoned. Ren broke through the security protocols with his medical override codes. Inside, they discovered an oxygen recycler functional, but damaged and a cache of emergency rations. The luck's finally with us, Ren said, connecting the recycler to his exosuit. The unit hummed to life, filtering and compressing the toxic atmosphere into breathable oxygen. His reserves jumped to 62%, while scavenging for more supplies. Ren uncovered a functioning communications terminal. His heart raced as he activated it, only to have hope crushed when the damage assessment appeared on screen. Transmitter array. Destroyed. Reception only. Incoming transmission detected. Military channel. Thelia's interface flashed urgently as the terminal crackled to life. A coalition commander's voice emerged through static. Final warning to all personnel. Sterilization protocol initiates in 36 hours. Thermobaric orbital bombardment will commence at 0600. No further evacuations authorized. May your souls find peace among the stars. Silence fell between them as the transmission ended. 36 hours, Ren whispered. Is there moving up the timeline? Chance of survival? The bluntness of her question made Ren smile despite everything.
Minimal.
Unless we can reach the southern hemisphere. There's an emergency beacon at weather. Station 9, if we could activate it. Distance to station? 20 kilometers? Through the worst of the combat zone? Thelia's eyes narrowed slightly, the first voluntary movement he'd seen from her. Difficult but not impossible. My motor functions returning incrementally, as if to demonstrate. Her right hand twitched, fingers curling slightly before relaxing again. That's progress, Ren said, genuinely surprised. The proximity effect is working. Your heart rate elevated during transmission, provided power surge. Night found them sheltered in what had once been an officer's quarters. Ren had fashioned a more comfortable support for Thelia, propping her into a seated position against a wall. Her combat suit's bioluminescent indicators glowed more steadily now, casting soft blue light across the darkness. "Tell me about your world," Ren said as he shared his rations with her, carefully helping her consume the nutrient paste compatible with her biology. Lyriath, 3 moons, floating cities among crystal forests, communal mine pools where thoughts merge like water. Sounds beautiful, Ren said softly. Different from what they tell us. Coalition propaganda says sylphids live in militarized hive minds with no individuality. Propaganda exists on both sides. My people believe humans intentionally destroy worlds to prevent others from having them. Like what's happening here? Ren gestured to the devastation outside. Yes, but you don't believe that. I see you chose to save an enemy. Contradicts teaching. Ren studied her face in the blue glow of her suit. For the first time, he noticed the intricate pattern of luminescent markings that traced her features not random, but deliberate, like living calligraphy. Maybe we've both been fed lies to keep this war going, suggested. Her fingers twitched again, this time deliberately extending toward him. Ren hesitated, then carefully took her hand in his. When their skin touched, a tingling sensation traveled. Up his arm, not unpleasant but strange, like a whisper against his nervous system. Neural interface attempting connection, primitive but present. Is this how you communicate? Through touch? Deeper than words, sharing of self, with their hands still connected. Ren felt a flutter of something not his own, a memory, an emotion, a sense of another consciousness brushing against his. For just a moment, he experienced the world through her perception colors, beyond human vision. Sensations he had no words for. The connection broke as a distant explosion shook their shelter, reminding them that even in moments of understanding, the war continued to rage around them. Dawn's light filtered through cracks in the ceiling, casting striped shadows across Thelia's face. During the night, her bioluminescent markings had strengthened, pulsing with a steady rhythm that matched Ren's heartbeat. More remarkably, she had regained limited movement in her upper body, her neural pathways slowly reconnecting under the influence of her suit's repair systems. "We need to move," Ren said, checking his exosuit diagnostics. "The recycled oxygen would last another day at most. Weather Station 9 is 15 kilometers southwest." Thelia raised her arm with visible effort, pointing to the tactical display her suit projected. "Sylphid patrol detected. 7 units, searching systematically, looking for survivors." "Looking for me? Command suit contains classified neural algorithms. So, you're valuable tech, not just a soldier," Ren said, understanding dawning. "They want to recover you or destroy you before the Coalition can." "Correct. Your people would do the same." Ren couldn't argue with that assessment. He helped Thelia to a sitting position, then to her feet. She leaned heavily against him, her body remembering how to stand, but not yet how to balance independently. "We'll have to avoid both sides now," he said grimly. "Can you walk at all?" In response, she took one shaky step, then another, her arm around his shoulders. Each movement was clearly painful, but her determination was unmistakable. Mobility, 27%, and increasing, adequate for survival requirements. Their journey through the ruins took on a new rhythm, slower, but more balanced as Thelia. Dia contributed to their movement rather than being entirely carried. They paused frequently for her to rest, each stop accompanied by tactical assessments from her suit's sensors. During one such rest, sheltered in the hollow shell of a destroyed transport vehicle, Thelia's interface displayed an unexpected message. "WHY. Do you continue? Logical choice? Abandon me. Increase your survival probability." Ren considered the question, wiping toxic condensation from his visor. "Maybe I'm tired of logical choices that leave people behind." "It's not logical, but appreciated." Her hand found his, and again that strange neural connection sparked between them, stronger now, less tentative. This time Ren deliberately opened himself to it, allowing his consciousness to brush against hers. The experience was disorienting and profound. Not just thoughts or emotions, but fragments of her essence flowed into him, her training in the crystal spires of Lyriath. Her first neural communion with her tactical unit, the terror of paralysis on a hostile world and growing beneath it. All a complex emotion directed toward him that transcended simple gratitude. When the connection broke, they both gasped. Something fundamental had shifted between them, a bridge formed that neither had expected. That was. Ren struggled for words. True sharing. Incomplete, but genuine. Night found them still 5 kilometers from the weather station, forced to seek shelter when a toxic storm intensified. They took refuge in a partially collapsed residential structure. Once home to coalition colonists before the war reached Neuraxis, Thelia's recovery had accelerated throughout the day. She could now sit unassisted and move her arms with growing coordination. As they settled into their shelter, she reached for Ren's hand again, initiating another neural connection. This time the sharing was deliberate, controlled. Ren felt her, guiding his consciousness, showing him memories she wanted him to see her life before the war. The beauty of her homeworld, the complexity of Sylphid society that human intelligence reports had completely misunderstood. In return, Ren opened his own memories, his childhood on Earth's lunar colonies, his decision to become a medic after losing his sister to a treatable illness, his growing disillusionment with the Coalition's justifications for continued warfare. When they separated, Thelia's eyes held his with new understanding. War built on lies. Both sides. Yes. Ren agreed simply. The temperature dropped as night deepened. Ren's exosuit regulated his body heat, but Thelia's combat suit, still operating at reduced capacity, couldn't maintain optimal temperature. She began to shiver, her bioluminescent patterns flickering erratically. Without hesitation, Ren moved closer, wrapping his arms around her. The contact was practical at first, sharing warmth, but as her shivering subsided, neither pulled away. The neural connection between them hummed, even without direct hand contact, their proximity enough to maintain a subtle link in the darkness. Thelia's voice, her actual voice, not text on an interface, emerged, rough from disuse, but unmistakable. Different. She whispered, the single word, clearly difficult, but same. Ren nodded, understanding the deeper meaning behind her simple statement. Different bodies, different worlds, same hopes, same fears. Her hand found his face, fingers tracing his features with cautious exploration. The touch sparked the neural connection again, but this time with a new dimension: desire, curiosity, reaching across the void between species. When their lips met, the neural connection flared, blurring the boundaries between them. Not just bodies meeting, but minds intertwining, perceptions merging. What began as comfort transformed into something neither had expected to find in the ruins of a dying world: intimacy transcending physical form, connection defying the war that had brought them here. Later, as they lay together in the darkness, Thelia's voice came again, stronger now. Tomorrow, she said, each syllable precisely formed. We live or die. Together. Ren tightened his arms around her. Together. The final day on Neuraxis dawned with an unnatural crimson intensity, the sky torn between night and the apocalypse to come. Orbital platforms were already visible through breaks in the toxic cloud cover, Coalition destroyers moving into bombardment. Position. Ren checked his exosuit's power reserves: 14%. Oxygen, 27%. Enough for 6 hours at most. The countdown to planetary sterilization showed 9 hours remaining. We need to move, he said, helping Thelia to her feet. Her recovery had progressed remarkably overnight. Though still unsteady, she could walk with minimal assistance, and her vocal capabilities had improved enough for basic communication. 3 kilometers, she said, her accent making the words melodic despite their harsh meaning. Weather station, ... southeast. They moved through the devastated landscape at the best pace they could manage, Thelia's combat suit providing continuous tactical updates about patrol movements. Both Coalition and Sylphid forces had increased activity, racing to secure or destroy valuable assets before the bombardment. Halfway to their destination, Thelia suddenly pulled Ren behind a collapsed wall, her body tensing. "Sylphid Command Unit," she whispered, indicating the tactical display. A squad of elite Sylphid soldiers moved methodically through the ruins ahead, their combat suits fully powered and weapons primed. Unlike Thelia's blue bioluminescent patterns, there's pulsed aggressive red. "They'll detect us," Ren whispered. Thelia's eyes narrowed in concentration. "Yes, but alternative approach." She pointed to a maintenance tunnel visible on her tactical display, a narrow passage that would take them beneath the patrol's path, emerging closer to the weather station. "Worth the risk," Ren agreed. The tunnel was claustrophobic and partially flooded with caustic runoff, forcing them to move carefully to avoid contact with the liquid. Ren's injured leg protested each step, the nano-repair serum's effects fading as his body's resources depleted. They emerged a kilometer from the weather station, which stood atop a ridge overlooking the devastated city. Its reinforced structure had withstood the bombing, though damage was visible along its eastern face. "Almost there," Ren said, his breath coming in painful gasps as his oxygen efficiency declined. A blast of energy struck the ground meters from them, sending them sprawling. Ren's exosuit absorbed most of the impact, but warning lights flashed across his visor as systems failed. A coalition squad emerged from concealed positions, weapons trained on them. Medic Kovacs, the lead soldier, called visor polarized too. "Hide his face. Step away from the Sylphid." "That's an order." Ren positioned himself between the soldiers and Thelia. "She's not a threat. We're trying to reach the beacon." "That's classified technology you're harboring," the soldier responded. "Neural command suit. Priority acquisition target." Understanding dawned on Ren. They didn't care about saving him. They wanted Thelia's combat suit, the neural interface, technology it contained. "We're leaving together," Ren stated, helping Thelia to her feet. "The bombardment starts in hours. There's room on an evac shuttle for both of us." The soldier's laugh was cold. "There's no evac shuttle, Kovacs. We're here to secure the tech, then bug out on our own transport. Standing orders no alien tech falls into enemy hands." Before Ren could respond, movement from behind caught his attention. The Sylphid patrol had found them, emerging from the ruins with weapons charged. They were trapped between two enemy forces, both seeing them as traitors. Thelia straightened, her combat suit pulsing with renewed energy. She stepped forward, addressing both groups in their respective languages, first in Standard to the humans, then in the melodic tones of Sylphid communication to her people. "This conflict," she said, her voice growing stronger with each word, "built on misunderstanding. We have shared minds. There is another way." The coalition soldiers raised their weapons. The Sylphid patrol commander made a gesture that Ren recognized as combat ready stance. What happened next occurred so quickly that Ren barely processed the sequence. Thelia's combat suit flared with intense light, projecting a defensive shield around them both. She grabbed Ren's hand, establishing the neural connection at full strength. Through their link, Ren understood her plan instantly. He activated his medical exosuits, emergency protocols, channeling all remaining power into a synchronized pulse with Thelia's shield. The resulting energy wave wasn't destructive. Instead, it carried the neural connection they shared, forcing both coalition and Sylphid soldiers to experience a fraction of what they had discovered together. Not just communication, but true understanding, the reality beyond propaganda, the possibility of coexistence. The effect lasted mere seconds, but it was enough to create momentary confusion, a hesitation in both forces. "Run," Thelia urged, pulling Ren toward the weather station as the shield collapsed. They reached the station's entrance as the first shots were fired not at them, but between the two patrols. Old hatreds reasserting themselves after the moment of clarity faded. Inside the weather station, Ren's medical override codes granted them access to the emergency systems. The beacon was intact, but required physical activation, a deliberate design to prevent remote tampering. Ren's exosuit sputtered, oxygen reserves critically low. His vision blurred as hypoxia set in. "Can't breathe," he gasped, fingers fumbling with the beacon controls. Thelia moved swiftly, her recovery complete enough for her to take over. Her hands, once paralyzed, now worked the complex sequence with precision. Almost there, she said as the beacon hummed to life. Outside, the battle intensified. Inside, Ren collapsed to his knees, his exosuit flashing critical warnings. Across his visor, Thelia knelt beside him, her face illuminated by the beacon's activation sequence. With deliberate movements, she removed her combat suit's respiratory component and connected it to Ren's failing system. "What are you doing?" he managed, trying to push her hands away. "Sharing life," she replied simply. "As you shared with me." The oxygen flowed into his system, rich and clean. His vision cleared as the hypoxia receded. The beacon signal pulsed outward, broadcasting on emergency frequencies that both Coalition and Sylphid forces monitored. Not just a distress call, but the neural data Thelia had encoded their shared experiences, the truth of their journey together. Through the station's reinforced windows, they watched as a small ship descended through the toxic clouds, neither Coalition nor Sylphid in design, but bearing the neutral markings of the Interstellar Medical Corps. Responding to Beacon A, voice announced over the station's comm system, humanitarian evacuation in progress. All combatants stand down by order of the Galactic Accord. Thelia helped Ren to his feet, supporting him as they moved toward the landing pad. "They came," Ren whispered in disbelief. "Yes," Thelia replied, her luminescent patterns pulsing with what he now recognized as hope. New beginning. As they boarded the medical transport, leaving behind the soldiers still locked in their cycle of violence, Ren looked back at the dying world of Neuraxis. In ours, it would be scorched clean of all traces of the conflict that had destroyed it. But something would survive, the truth of what they had discovered together, encoded in the beacon's transmission, impossible to erase. A small spark of understanding in a war built on misunderstanding. Perhaps not enough to end the conflict, but a beginning. Thelia's hand found his as the ship broke atmosphere, their neural connection humming with shared thoughts of what might come next, not just for them, but for the possibility their unlikely bond represented. "Different worlds," she said softly. "Same future," Ren finished, as Neuraxis dwindled behind them and the stars opened before them like a promise.